In the annals of ancient history, amidst the timeless sands of Arabia, the stories of two great civilizations emerge: the Nabataens and the Qedarites. Born from the lineage of Ishmael, son of Abraham, these peoples carved their destinies in the shifting sands of the Arabian Peninsula. According to tradition, Ishmael's descendants spread across the desert, each forging their own path amidst the harsh realities of desert life. Among Ishmael's sons were Nabet, patriarch of the Nabataens, and Kedar, progenitor of the Qedarites. Though they shared a common ancestry, their journeys diverged, leading to the rise of two distinct civilizations. The Nabataens, centered around the majestic city of Petra, became renowned for their architectural marvels, sophisticated water management systems, and mastery of trade. Meanwhile, the Qedarites, roaming the vast expanses of the desert, thrived as nomadic traders and warriors, controlling key trade routes and forging alliances with neighboring powers. For centuries, the Nabataens and Qedarites flourished, their destinies intertwined with the fortunes of empires and the ebb and flow of trade across the ancient Near East. Yet with the rise of mighty empires like Rome and Persia, the fortunes of the Nabataens and Qedarites began to wane. Petra fell to Roman conquest, while the Qedarites gradually assimilated into the cultures of the Arabian Peninsula. Around 600 BCE, a notable figure named Adnan emerges among the Qedarites. Adnan, revered as the traditional ancestor of the Adnanite Arabs, left a lasting legacy in the annals of Arabian history. Pre-Islamic poets celebrated Adnan's lineage, depicting him as an honorable father among Arab tribes. Adnan's name appeared in various inscriptions, including Thamudic and Nabataean, symbolizing his revered status. Following Adnan's death, his son Ma'ad led the Adnanites to central western Hijaz, navigating challenges and preserving their heritage. Born around 598 BCE, Ma'ad is a pivotal ancestor of Qusayy ibn Kilab. Throughout pre-Islamic poetry, Ma'ad is celebrated as a revered and important figure, revered by tribes across the Arabian Peninsula. His legacy extends beyond poetry, as Ma'ad's name appears in historical inscriptions and records, signifying his enduring impact. Even beyond Arabia, Ma'ad's influence is felt, as Byzantine historians and leaders acknowledge the might of his people. In Arabian tradition, the name Nizar echoes through the sands of history, serving as a symbol of unity and lineage among the northern Arab tribes. Nizar, son of Ma'ad ibn Adnan, is hailed as the common ancestor of many Adnanite tribes, including the Rabia and Mudar. Born of Ma'ad and Mu'ana bint Jahla of the Jurhum tribe, Nizar's lineage extends to his four sons, Rabia, Mudar, Anmar, and Iyad. Rabia and Mudar, sons of Nizar ibn Ma'ad ibn Adnan, emerged as the eponymous ancestors of two mighty branches of the Adnanite tribes. From Rabia, a multitude of tribes and sub-tribes arose, each carving out their own territories across the Arabian Peninsula. The Abdul-Qais settled in the eastern region, while the Bakr tribe stretched from Al-Yamama to Mesopotamia, with the powerful Banu Hanifa residing in Al-Yamama. Taghlib resided on the eastern banks of the Euphrates, while Ans inhabited southern Arabia, and Anazah was divided into sedentary and Bedouin sections. The Shayban with their flocks wandered according to the seasons, wintering in Judea in the Najd and moving to the fertile lowlands around the Euphrates for the summer. From Mudar's lineage emerged two distinguished sons, Alyas or Ilyas, and Ilan al-Nas, each becoming the progenitors of renowned tribes that would shape the course of Arabian history. Ilyas's descendants included the esteemed Banu Hudhayl, Banu Asad, Banu Tamim, and Banu Kinana, including the revered Quraysh tribe. Meanwhile, Ilan al-Nas's lineage gave rise to the noble Qais tribes, further expanding the influence of Mudar's legacy across the Arabian Peninsula. About 400 years after Christ, a man of Quraysh named Qusayy married a daughter of Hulayl, who was then chief of Khuza'ah. Hulayl preferred his son-in-law to his own sons, for Qusayy was outstanding amongst Arabs of his time. And on the death of Hulayl, after a fierce battle which ended in arbitration, it was agreed that Qusayy should rule over Mecca and be the guardian of the Kaaba. He thereupon brought those of Quraysh who were his nearest of kin and settled them in the valley beside the sanctuary, his brother Zurah, his uncle Taim, Makhzum, the son of another uncle, and one or two cousins who were less close. These and their posterity were known as Quraysh of the Hollow, whereas Qusayy's more remote kinsmen settled in the ravines of the surrounding hills and in the countryside beyond, and were known as Quraysh of the Outskirts. Qusayy ruled over them all as king, with undisputed power, and they paid him a tax every year on their flocks, so that he might feed those of the pilgrims who were too poor to provide for themselves. Until then, the keepers of the sanctuary had lived round it in tents. But Qusayy now told them to build themselves houses, having already built himself a spacious dwelling, which was known as the House of Assembly. All was harmonious, but seeds of discord were about to be sown. It was a marked characteristic of Qusay's line that in each generation there would be one man who was altogether preeminent. Amongst Qusay's 4 sons, this man was Abdu Manaf, who was already honored in his father's lifetime. But Qusayy preferred his firstborn, Abd ad-Dar, although he was the least capable of all, and shortly before his death he said to him, "My son, I will set thee level with the others in despite of men's honoring them more than thee. None shall enter the Kaaba except thou open it for him, and no hand but thine shall not for Quraysh, their ensign of war, nor shall any pilgrim draw water for drink in Mecca except thou give him the right thereto, nor shall he eat food except it be of thy providing, nor shall Quraysh resolve upon any matter except it be in thy house." Having thus invested him with all his rights and powers, he transferred to him the ownership of the House of Assembly. Out of filial piety, Abdu Manaf accepted without question his father's wishes. But in the next generation, half of Quraysh gathered round Abdu Manaf's son Hashim, clearly the foremost man of his day, and demanded that the rights be transferred from the clan of Abd ad-Dar to his clan. Those who supported Hashim and his brothers were the descendants of Zurah and Taim, and all Qusayy's descendants except those of the eldest line. The descendants of Makhzum and of the other remoter cousins maintained that the rights should remain in the family of Abd ad-Dar. Feeling rose so high that the women of the clan of Abdu Manaf brought a bowl of rich perfume and placed it beside the Kaaba, and Hashim and his brothers and all their allies dipped their hands in it and swore a solemn oath that they would never abandon one another, rubbing their scented hands over the stones of the Kaaba in confirmation of their pact. Thus it was that this group of clans were known as the Scented Ones. The allies of Abd ad-Dar likewise swore an oath of union, and they were known as the Confederates. Violence was strictly forbidden not only in the sanctuary itself, but also within a wide circle round Mecca, several miles in diameter. And the two sides were about to leave this sacred precinct in order to fight a battle to the death when a compromise was suggested. And it was agreed that the sons of Abdu Manaf should have the rights of levying the tax and providing the pilgrims with food and drink, whereas the sons of Abd ad-Dar should retain the keys of the Kaaba and their other rights, and that their house should continue to be the House of Assembly.